How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's Q&A. So like any other week, if you want a chance of what your questions being answered, make sure you drop a comment down below. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the first question of the week. And it is a second generation TLX, so 21 to current year, so 21 to 25. Noise while turning. Now, it wasn't real specific as what type of noise, although some common things that we were seeing, specifically the ball joints when turning the steering wheel, could also happen over bumps. We have seen a ton of lower control arm failures, which the ball joint is pressed into. So if you're hearing a creaking, squeaking type of noise, take it into your dealer immediately. That ball joint is starting to fail inside, and if it separates, obviously it could be turning into a big accident and putting a lot of people at risk. So if you're hearing that, typically again, while turning or over some uneven road, some bumps, you'll hear a creaking, squeaking, whatever you want to call it. Additionally, I think there's actually a service news or a bulletin about a noise while turning, and it seems to be something along the lines with your brake pads. I have aftermarket pads and rotors, so I've never personally heard this, but you know, I know there is something about this, and it just seems that Honda, Acura, they can't get the right compound for the pads and everything correct, you know, with brake dust, noise, things of that nature, and, you know, just gunking up and leaving deposits on a rotor. So if that's what you're hearing, then again, take it to your dealer. It could be something other than those two items that I described, but that's typically what we see in these cars. So hopefully that answers the question for you. Next question is requesting your dealer to use different grade oil in your vehicle. So for example, all these newer Honda and Acuras use 0W20. If you ask for 5W30, which I use on my personal car, would they do it? First of all, they're not going to have it in stock. And second of all, they're going to say, no, it's going to do harm to your engine. You got to use what's recommended, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So, and the 0W20 is purely for EPA purposes only. So again, I've had 5W30 on my TLX for about 30,000 miles now with absolutely no issues. So no, they're not going to do it for you. If you take it, if you buy an oil, bring it in, they're going to document it and maybe cause issues down the line. As far as you doing on your own or outside shop, I have no problem with it. Now, let's say your engine somehow failed, you know, there was a rod bearing failure, let's just call it, and you brought it in and you know, don't have documentations or whatever. And first thing I'm going to do is look at the the engine oil quality in the vehicle. So if I see the engine is clean, there's no way I'm going to say, well, let's check the oil viscosity. That's just not something we do. Furthermore, we're also not going to take it out for a lab samples or anything of that nature. That's just not something that we do at a dealer level. So if the engine looks clean, it doesn't look neglected, then there's no reason for us to question any of that nature. If it's clean, that means you've been doing your oil changes. If it looks sludgy, that means you haven't been doing your oil changes. Doesn't matter if you use 0W20 at that point or 10W40, right? So as long as you keep it clean, and in most cases, now this might be a dealer by dealer situation, but I would never say, hey, this engine's clean, let's look for his oil change records. That just doesn't make any sense to me. If your engine's clean, once again, that means you've been maintaining it. If it looks brownish, if there's some varnish on it, if it looks dark, if it looks sludgy, then at that point, I would say, all right, show me your proof of oil changes, documentation, receipts, whatever. So it's a tricky question. Again, I use 5W30 on my car, don't have an issue with it. You know, but that's completely up to you. So hopefully that answers the question for you. Right, so the next question is, given the opportunity, would I change brands or manufacturers? And the simple answer is probably no. I'm going on 17 years with Honda, actually in a couple of days now. So at this point, for me to commit to a totally new brand with the same benefits, same pay, all that stuff, I would still make less money because I would have to learn the product all over. Now I know Honda, most of them, like the back of my hand, most of them have the same exact failures. Once in a while, it'll have something oddball, and as new products release, then obviously we have to learn those new products as well. But typically, it's a pretty smooth transition. Now, if you go to a different brand, not only do you have to learn the brand itself, you also have to learn, you know, the diagnostic tools, the troubleshooting trees and stuff like that. What parts are called, you know, obviously a cam sensor is going to be a cam sensor, but Sometimes control units are called different things by different manufacturers. So it could get real easily tricky. So at this point in my career, 17 years in, I would say no. Now, before I did this, I did work with my dad, and up to a couple of years ago, on my days off, I would work with my dad, and I worked on many different brands. So a car's a car at the end of the day, an engine is an engine, but just knowing the product so well at this point, it just simply wouldn't make sense for me to make, a switch and go to a different brand. If I did have to choose one, and let's say Honda went out of business, I would probably go to something Japanese, most likely, Toyota or something along those lines. That would probably be the closest thing and comparable to Honda, both in quality and just, overall mechanical ideas. So hopefully that answers the question for you. This next question is, you had your fuel pump changed. Now you have an extra long crank. So right off the bat, if this is actually what's happening, I'm going to say that something was done wrong. So typically what we see is when putting the pump into the housing, we see a lot of techs either flip-flop the spacer with the O-ring or pinch the O-ring going in, causing that extra long crank. Now, when we do these, the first time we start it, it will have an extra long crank because it has to build pressure. So right after that, what I like to do, as I'm putting everything back together, turn off the vehicle, let it sit for 5-10 minutes, and then start it up. At that point, it should start up immediately like it was before. So the only other thing that could potentially be giving you a long crank at this time would probably be a weak battery. But if it happened immediately after you left the dealership, chances are something was done improperly. Chances are that O-ring either got pinched or put in the wrong spot. So I would definitely take it back to that dealer. Hopefully they could address it for you and just explain it to them exactly how it is. If everything looks okay, then great. Obviously something else is going on, but it happened immediately afterwards. Chances are it's something that they did. So hopefully that answers the question for you. And last but not least, question of the week. And once again, if you want a chance of when your question is being answered, make sure you drop a comment down below. And I know some of you guys also have some questions waiting, so I'll get to those in next week's video. But for now, the question is, what are my thoughts on purchasing lease returns? So ideally speaking, and from a financial standpoint, you say, all right, well, cars have a mass drop in value first couple years immediately when you leave the lot. So buying a used car is typically a better idea, and you get more for the money and you don't lose as much immediately, at least speaking. So the problem with that is the whole lease mentality. It's a lease. I'm not going to maintain it. I'm not going to do my oil changes, rotates, whatever, doesn't matter. You probably need tires anyways, and it should be adding new tires before they, sell the car to you. But most importantly is that oil change. And now when we see these oil consumption issues, these oil sludge issues, it typically happens when the car was leased. Now, not always, but typically that's what we see. And again, and I don't want to say this is for everyone, but we see the whole it's a lease mentality. I'm not going to maintain it, which is where the issue initially starts. So that owner that rented the car, aka leased it, never does their maintenance because it's a lease and they don't have to pay for anything. Say, well, at the end of 3 years, 36,000 miles, I'm just going to get another lease and start this whole process all over and damage yet another car. So the problem is the second owner, being you, that purchased this car used, is going to pay for that eventually. And if you keep with that bad maintenance, it's only gonna, multiply and come sooner rather than later and start consuming oil. This is a perfect example. We have a CRV in the shop now, I believe it's a 20 or 19, 20, whatever, and 65,000 miles, and it's consuming oil. So we are going to tear that engine apart, and this was a lease purchase about a year ago. So this person bought this car, certified pre-owned. It's not something that we do. We're not going to take apart valve covers. Something I think that dealers should do is ask for, receipts and maintenance, because like that, we would say, all right, well, this car was maintained and it's going to be a good car for the next owner. Unfortunately, they don't do that. All they want to care about is making that next sale. So we're going to have to take this engine apart. If, Honda Care doesn't pick it up because of whatever reason, then it's something that's going to come out of pocket. Now, do I think that's correct? No, because this person bought the car and thinking they bought a good car. But again, this is what happens when we see lease return purchases time and time and time after again. So, I would personally just be careful if you do buy a car that was previously leased. make sure that, you have some sort of documentation that these oil changes were done. Air filter, cabin filter, wipers, rotate, that doesn't really matter. That's not going to cause a long-term issue. Oil changes not be done on time absolutely will cause a long-term issue. So that's my 2 cents on that. Just do your research on a vehicle. I think it's usually better to buy new or from somebody personal that has, purchased a car, wants to get rid of it, has receipts, has documentation, and like that, I think it will be a safer investment for you. So hopefully that answers the question for you, and I'll catch everyone on the next one.